this package of reforms, it looks like a complete U-turn from Alexis Tsipras. How does he get Parliament to approve these reforms on taxes, pensions, spending cuts that the Greek government couldn't enact over the course of the past 3 years?
Well, successive Greek governments couldn't. But now it seems that altogether maybe they can make it. Well, first of all, it's good news that we have this agreement. The second thing is that the Prime Minister has a comfortable majority to undertake these reforms because he will be supported also by the parties, the political parties of the opposition. It is a difficult task for everyone because they have to do in 2 days what they have not done for successive 5 years, because instead of undertaking those reforms, persuading the society that those reforms were necessary, they were trying to avoid them, and they were taking always parametric measures. That means cutting down salaries, pensions, and that has proven to be, the worst choice.
But you're confident Tsipras will get approval from Parliament by the end of Wednesday?
Well, I think so, because he will have a comfortable majority. It is very important, first of all, that this division in the country between the forces for the memorandum and against the memorandum, this division does not exist anymore, or the main opponents seem to be now in a compromise. It's very important for the country, and that we can build a consensus for reforms.
What do you think about the reform package that he actually agreed to? Of course, it is much harsher than what Greeks rejected in a referendum just a week ago. Is this a reform package that is actually going to finally get Greece going again, or are we going to be here again in a year from now?
No, what the Greeks rejected in the last referendum was not the reforms, because nobody really asked them for that. What they rejected was more austerity. That means more cut downs to salaries and to pensions.
But what we have now is even more austerity than that.
Well, maybe for some months, for a short period of time, we'll have more austerity because we didn't do what we should have done during those 5 years. But with those reforms, we will have more competitiveness and promoting entrepreneurship and all those things that we should have done during those last 5 years and we didn't do.
The local newspapers are saying that Alexis Tsipras surrendered. A member of his own party said that Greece has effectively been waterboarded. Do you feel like Greece went up against the creditors and lost?
No, I don't think so. Greece has done what it should have done. And now we see that, those are the very interesting things sometimes in history, that Alexis Tsipras has to behave, let's say, like Richard Nixon, who was the first to conclude these agreements with China, or Ronald Reagan to start the disarmament with Soviet Union. Sometimes there are people whom you wouldn't expect to make these U-turns, but are the most appropriate to do necessary things when at last they should have been done.
So perhaps he'll get approval from Parliament. You think this is actually going to wash with the people who now, again, in these newspapers, say he's a traitor who capitulated?
Well, there are some people, and now we will find, this kind of anti-European, let's say, fraction will find its new leaders. I think that they already have found some. And now Mr. Tsipras, what he has to do is that he has at last to find his allies in the pro-European political parties and the pro-European segments of the public opinion.
So we're all expecting a reshuffle. Mayor, just a quick last question. How much damage has been done to the economy over the past 2+ weeks of the banks being closed?
For the time being, we cannot speak with numbers, but the impression that I have, speaking at least for the city of Athens, is that we have very heavy loss in damages, especially in tourism. And it's so sad, because all the forecasts before the crisis, for this last crisis, were that we would have the most terrific, touristic season of all times. Anyway, I'm confident, I'm very optimistic. I think we will do it very well.
All right, Mayor Kaminis, thank you so much for your time. And in fact, Matt, that is something I noticed myself. I went down to the port of Piraeus, the port where many tourists go to take the ferry, to Mykonos or Patmos. And in fact, a lot of the people I spoke to said there were half the tourists that there were just a month ago. So the crisis really is digging in, but hope, relief, even if anger, here in Athens.